It is Friday, the 7th of July, 2023. This is Camnet TV Breakfast Show, a show that comes to your screen every morning where we discuss a lot of important aspects of what is happening around in the country. Of course, we did see the firing of Luapula Province Minister for engaging in sojilite mining, which is illegal. And of course, we also have seen other people who've been nabbed in connection with this particular incident. They say when an elephant or a bull or something dies in the village, people in that village that they need today. So today we are feeding on that information, and of course we hope to have a guest where we can dig deeper into issues that deal in lithium and sojilite mining in the country. I am your host this morning, Prudence Chota, and I will be with you between now and 09 hours. But you too can be part of the conversation on Camnet TV by calling the numbers that are on your screen to make those contributions and submissions with regards to the topics of discussion that we will be having. So just stay glued to Camnet TV for that important and wonderful discussion. And also on our Facebook page, we are also live. You can leave us those messages, and hey, I will be able to shout out to you during the course of the program. So let's get to interact. This program is brought to you to give you a voice where you are not heard. This is a program that you can call and have your voice count. So let's first see what the doctors have for us this morning, even as we get to interact. So see you on the other side.
Good morning, and I'm glad that you could join us here on the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we have been talking about community-acquired pneumonia, and this is pneumonia that comes about from having an infection that you have gotten from the community that you're living in. We're getting into the cold season, so many people are going to be having this condition because of being indoors mostly and being in close proximity with other people who might have the bacteria or the virus or the fungi that can cause pneumonia. So we discussed that pneumonia can be caused by bacteria, can be caused by a virus or a fungi. And we also say that this pneumonia can also present in certain ways, such as having a fever or having a cough and chest pain. If it's very severe, the patient would have difficulties in breathing as well. Then we talked about the diagnosis and treatment, and we say that pneumonia can be diagnosed with a chest x-ray that has to be done at the hospital, and submitting sputum samples to verify or to check what type of bacteria it is and what type of antibiotics to use for this bacteria, or if it's a virus, what type of virus is it. Then we talked about the treatment, and we say that treatment can be done based on the organism causing it. So if it's a virus, then sometimes it can be self-limiting. Sometimes you need to take antiviral medications. Then if it's a bacteria, then you need to be given antibiotics. If it's a fungi, you need to be given antifungal medications. So those are some of the ways in which pneumonia can be treated in the hospital. There are certain complications that can arise from pneumonia or having pneumonia, and some of the complications include having an abscess in your lungs. So an abscess can form in your lungs, and it would have to be treated, of course, with the antibiotics or antifungals, depending on the causative agent of that abscess or the pneumonia. Then the other thing is that you could have what we call a pleural effusion. So fluid can accumulate in the pleural space, which is the space outside of your lungs. And so because of the pneumonia that you have, you find that some fluid accumulates in the lungs, and it can be very detrimental to your breathing, so you will not be able to breathe well, and it will have to be drained. Some of the fluid has to be drained from the lungs to relieve that that pressure that is created by the fluid in the lungs. Then there are other complications as well, such as having pus in the same pleural space. It can cause pus collection in the pleural space. If the pneumonia is very severe, it can cause what we call a shock. So you can have septic shock because of pneumonia, and that can be very deadly, and it can even lead to death if it's very severe. So it's important that you get treatment for pneumonia very early to prevent all these complications and to prevent you from spreading the infection to others as well. So we'll talk about how you can prevent pneumonia. Some of the ways you can prevent pneumonia is by covering your cough or your sneeze whenever you cough or sneeze, to prevent you from spreading it to other people. The other way is that you need to be able to eat a healthy diet so that your immune system can be strong, and also exercise as well to improve your immune system. So exercise and eating healthy are ways in which we can improve or increase our immunity and improve our immune system to prevent us from getting bacterial infections or viral infections that can harm us and cause pneumonia. The other thing is that if you are a smoker, then try to stop smoking or reduce on smoking, because that can lead you to getting pneumonia and also getting other infections as well. So these are ways in which we can prevent ourselves from getting pneumonia. Make sure that you wash your hands all the time, because they could be bacteria or viruses that you have gotten from the environment or from shaking other people's hands or from the surface areas around that can cause pneumonia. So make sure you wash your hands on a regular basis and avoid unnecessary handshakes with people, so that you cannot get these bacteria that can cause pneumonia. So make sure you protect yourself, protect others as well, and take care of yourself. If you have any symptoms, get treatment early, go to the hospital as soon as possible and seek treatment, and you will be helped. You'll be given the medications that are needed, and you will become better. So I do hope you learned something this week. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and also watch my YouTube videos. That if you have missed any of the sessions here on the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubena. I'll see you again next time. Make sure you stay healthy, stay blessed, and have a lovely weekend.
There you have it, Dr. Mfaya talking about pneumonia and how you can prevent that. I know she said something that is quite of interest that sometimes we ignore, when it comes to these illnesses, where she says make sure you regularly wash your hands. It's actually interesting to know that through, contact with your hands, there is a probability that you can get pneumonia. And also, this particular condition is associated with coldness, when we are having this coldness right now, where we, you know, it's a cold season. There are some times, or at certain times, when people get to have pneumonia and stuff like that. So let's follow the tips that the doctors give us. They are very important for our health. Remember, this is not a diagnosis but an advice. So when you have a particular condition, or you feel you have an attack, or you feel you just have a headache, sometimes just a toothache, please let's visit the nearest health facilities. Health facilities are there for us to visit. And you know, sometimes we've been hearing cases of someone who just complained of headache, they've passed on, or someone who just complained of toothache. You know, certain times you might not know the extent of your illness, not until you see a health practitioner. So let's, you know, take advantage of the health facilities that we have in the country. So those who are just tuning in, this is a breakfast show. You too can be part of the conversation with regards to some of the things we will be discussing this morning through the numbers that are on your screen. You can call or leave us a message on our Facebook page. I've seen Penlock Kauma there saying good morning on Facebook. Good morning to you, Penlock. Shout out to you and your family. I hope you are blessed this morning. Also, we are going to look into the money market. How is it that our local currency is performing against other major convertibles? This particular segment is very important, in as much as, you know, sometimes that business, you know, we don't understand what's the importance. This is significant because most of the goods in the country are imported. Remember, Zambia is an import-dependent country, and we need to know how is it that our local currency is faring against other major convertibles. So that's about time when we look at the kwacha and how it is performing against other major convertibles. There you have it. Zambian kwacha against the Great British Pound is buying at 22 kwacha 58 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 02 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 19 kwacha 28 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 66 ngwe. Zambian kwacha against the South African rand, they are buying at 0.93 ngwe and selling at 0.95 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 17.71 ngwe and selling at 18.06 ngwe. That is the money market for this morning. Impressed to know that the kwacha is performing slightly better than the rand, but disappointing to know that, you know, despite announcement of the debt restructuring deal, Zambia kwacha against the United States dollar not doing as we expected. You know, after this deal came up, there was a lot of excitement, and one of the things that people looked to is having a stronger currency. But we've seen since that announcement, we've just been trading around 17 kwacha to 18 kwacha, just between that. So I hope to see us even do better as Zambia goes to, you know, negotiate with the private creditors over the debt that we all remember. That 6.3 billion US dollar was for the bilateral creditors, bilateral. But now we need to negotiate with the private creditors and also commercial. Remember, government also owes our own people within Zambia over, I think, close to 15 billion US dollars. You might be wondering, who does government borrow to? Sometimes they borrow to individuals. I can't mention them here, but I think you've seen there are certain businessmen who've been doing well, and government has gone to them and borrowed money. They've borrowed even from our own people. They've borrowed from banks. They've borrowed from other institutions just within Zambia here. And you know, even that debt also, the government needs to come to the table with the guys from Zambia. That's why we need to work hard. Imagine lending money to your country. What a pride. Zambia owes me. I think I want to be lending money to the country so that I can boast very well to say, do you know that even Zambia owes me? If I want to die, I can go and take over this. Just joking on that. So it is a good morning to you. And at this particular time now, we are going to zoom into some of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. On a sad note, we are starting our news on a sad note. Yesterday, 4 criminals robbed a named Chinese national of over 500,000 kwacha at Kabulonga Mall in Lusaka. The victim was attacked on his way to the bank to deposit the said money, which the robbers stole, leaving the victim with some injuries. And the victim, who has been left traumatized by the incidents, tells Camnet News that the money was his entire life saving. Meanwhile, police have launched a manhunt for the 4 suspects who are currently on a run. This is a very sad incident. You know, we actually were there on the scene and we witnessed what happened. This particular Chinese national was going to a bank. He was coming from Acacia where he withdrew this money. He had about 30,000 US dollars in his backpack and 30,000 kwacha. He parks his car by Kabulonga, just immediately parking his car. Another car comes and he's just getting his bag out of there without even closing the door very well. The criminals, they grab the bag. And this Chinese national is holding on to the bag and they speed off with the car. So he's screaming because he's holding on to his bag, and the criminals are dragging him on a fast moving vehicle, and he kept screaming there, and these guys had no mercy. And I'm wondering, what if he fell and maybe the tires of the car ran through him? So those questions were popping because that's what transpired, and in the process he did get some injuries. But in the end, they did walk away with that money. The matter has been reported. CCTV footage is being reviewed. And I just hope these criminals can be caught. You work so hard for this money. Over 500,000 kwacha, that's a lot of money. That's someone's pensions, what they've saved for the whole of their lives. Others, they don't even reach that far. So this is the money that someone has worked for. And then someone just comes and gets it on a silver platter? No. We need to work and work. This has been the president's words. So let's get to see these sad incidents that happened yesterday that made headline in our news.
He has sustained injuries after some criminals attacked him at this part of Lusaka's Kabulonga Mall on his way to deposit some cash at a bank. Zhongqi, not his real name but a Chinese national, met his fate when he parked his vehicle near criminals who immediately left his car, grabbed his bag and speed off while dragging Mr. Chi, who was still holding on to the bag containing 30,000 United States dollars and 30,000 kwacha cash money he was taking to a bank. This traumatizing incident has left Mr. Chi fearing for his life as he explains what transpired.
When I parked at Kabulonga, and then there's a car has parked on my right side, and I in the car sent some message, and their car left, and another car just parked my side. When I finished the message, I want to get off my car and to deposit my money. Just all at once, some people grabbing my bag, and there are 4 guys in their car. It looks like gray or white car, I forget, maybe gray, and the number plate cannot remember clearly, possibly 1379, but possibly 1375, I cannot remember. Just at the last moment I checked the number, but I cannot see it so clearly. I lost my glasses, and there are 4 guys, and I hold my bag because there are the money and my IDs and a lot of stuff inside. So they drive with the bag and me for quite a long distance. That's why I get hurt. And then they get my cash and the bag they slowed on the road.
So how much have you lost in terms of cash?
Some kind of 30,000 kwacha and $6,000.
And one of the eyewitnesses has told Camnet News that the criminals had their car parked at the shopping mall for quite some time before they attacked the victim.
After gonzeni na motoka ya mukura mayo antukura stuko antulongoloti sure mayo.
The matter has since been reported to the police, who have since launched a manhunt for the suspect and calling on members of the general public with information that will lead to the arrest of the criminals to report the matter to the nearest police station. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Quite a sad incident there where someone's life savings, is everything, was taken away in a blink of an eye. If you have information that may lead to the arrest of these criminals, please let's report to the nearest police station. In every country you need investors, and when investors don't feel safe in your country, they'll begin to withdraw their investment. In as much as you may say, we don't need these guys, they exploit us, we work in a Chinese industry and stuff, it's not up to me to judge, but that was someone's particular savings. If you saw how traumatized he was and how much he said, I'm dead, because that was everything I've had in life. It's quite a sad incident, and you wouldn't wish this even on your own enemy. So that was one of the stories that made headline in our news. You too can be part of the conversation, or maybe you can just give us an experience. What has been your experience with some of these criminals in the country? Myself, I've been in such a situation, where sometime way back, I don't like remembering these incidents, but it happened. I was coming from work, I boarded a bus just by, I think Petroda filling station at Friday's Corner. I was going home. I used to stay in PHI by now. Little did I know that in the bus that I got in, actually, it was a bus full of criminals, and I was attacked, had my things robbed. And that incident up to now, still pops up on my mind. So you too can be part of the conversation, and let's get to hear how these criminals, or what has been your experience with some of these criminals who are now terrorizing the country, and why have we seen an increase in the numbers of criminals? At first, we used to think criminals are only people on foot, but it's actually disappointing to know that criminals are now using cars to rob people. Whose cars are these for? Are they hiring them, from these car hiring companies, or are they using their own vehicles? Or maybe it's this, you give someone your vehicle to be working with. To do and attack other people, to do all these kind of wrongs and use it for attacking other people. So such a sad incidents there, someone lost over 30,000 United States dollars. If you compute that to the money market that we just had, that was about 17.7, and then you compute it to the 30,000 US dollars he had in the bag, that's approximately 570,000 kwacha. Then remember, he also had 30,000 kwacha in his bag. If you add that together, that's about 600,000 kwacha. That's quite a lot of money. For people to steal for you, just like that, in a blink of an eye, 600,000 kwacha is gone. Let's give police officers any information that may lead to the arrest of these people. It was a sad incident, just not losing his money. That particular colleague of ours also sustained a lot of injuries, not just what you saw on TV, but he had injuries on his back, he had injuries everywhere, and right now he is seeking medical attention. So going to a bank to deposit money only to lose your entire savings, quite a sad incident there we witnessed as Camnet television. We just hope that something can be done as soon as possible. We've seen incidences of such happening, and government have been able to, retrieve some of those resources and arrest the criminals. So I hope this will also be one of those cases that can quickly be, handled. On another note, British High Commissioner Nicholas Hooley has dispelled the perception that Zambia is experiencing a shrinking civic space. I know this particular topic has been of great interest. A lot of people have been debating to say, no one is speaking out. The civic space is shrinking in Zambia, especially the opposition political parties. They've cried foul, and they are looking to civic space, which they say is nowhere, because most of the people who are in the civic space have now been offered jobs in the government, which has led to a shrinking civic space. But the British High Commissioner to Zambia, Nicholas Hooley, dispelled these assertions yesterday. Recently, the opposition Citizens First Party challenged civil society organizations and the diplomatic community to break the silence against alleged bad governance by the United Party for National Development government. But the British envoy says, to the contrary, Zambia is enjoying a conducive political environment under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. Let's see what Nicholas Hooley had to say over this matter yesterday.
Zambia stands as a testament to deriving solutions that provide answers to challenges that societies are facing. According to the World Health Organization, diarrhea is the third largest killer of children aged less than 5 in Zambia, and it is estimated that every year 15,000 die as a result of the disease. But to eradicate such challenges, Pharmanova Zambia Limited, a pharmaceutical company responsible for manufacturing cosmetic and health products such as Panadol, has been granted the patent to a local health solution, Kitiamoyo, by Colalife, to ensure in fighting diarrhea in various parts of the country.
Of Kitiamoyo speaks to our passion, our vision, our values, and our mission. local manufacturing of pharmaceutical products is a non-negotiable necessity for the healthcare security of Zambia and the region. During the recently held EU-Zambia Pharmaceuticals Manufacturing Forum in March, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, stated that we need not...
They say you have to know where you are coming from to know where you are going. And prior to the August 12, 2021 general election, Zambia faced a shrinking civic space with opposition political parties having little or no room to conduct their activities as the Public Order Act was being enforced while cadres had authority over duty bearers. President Hakainde Hichilema, upon taking over the wheels of power, assured to govern the country based on the rule of law and assured that people will enjoy their civil liberties. Meanwhile, in a quest to fight corruption under the United Party for National Development Administration, others, mostly those who served under the Patriotic Front administration, claim that the fight against corruption is a political witch hunt. Opposition political parties in Zambia, including the Citizens First Party leader, Hari Kalaba, have been claiming that there is a shrinking civic space, further accusing civil society organizations and embassies accredited to Zambia of being mute amidst what they claim as a crackdown on Zambia's democracy.
I want to therefore call upon the embassies that took time to raise issues under the previous regime to start doing the same under the current regime, unless otherwise they stand to benefit from the current situation that is being orchestrated. Otherwise, we request that they use the same yardstick on the UPND government as they have used on previous governments.
We spoke to British High Commissioner Nicholas Woolley, who said that, to the contrary, Zambia is enjoying a conducive political environment.
In the time that I've been High Commissioner, I think Zambia is now enjoying a period of renewed democracy and the opening of civic space and the progressive moves and laws that have been introduced and indeed abolished that I've just spoken to are an important part of contributing to that. And of course, the efforts of Zambian civil society and its people is something that is very clear now more than ever.
He further reaffirmed commitment to support Zambia's corruption fight.
Of specific targeting, I think our view is very clear that where there are allegations of, for example, corruption, that these should be investigated regardless of the political persuasion of the alleged defendants. And it's in that regard that the UK has as well recently announced to increase our support to the investigative and prosecution authorities of Zambia's efforts in its anti-corruption fight, which I announced just last week with the Director of Public Prosecutions.
If at all Zambia is experiencing a shrinking civic space or not, well, it is obvious that everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
There you have it, British High Commissioner to Zambia Nicholas Woolley disputing assertions there that the civic space in the country is shrinking. He also says, the opposition Citizens First Party President Hari Kalaba did speak to the fact that, the civic space and of course the diplomats are not speaking on what is happening in the country, but he says, we are enjoying the civic space that is in the country as opposed to the way things were before. So you too can be part of the conversation and you can let us know what your comment is with regards to that particular headline in our news yesterday. Also, if you've seen, the past 2 weeks have been characterized with, things happening in the courts of law. Among them, we've seen Chilobi Member of Parliament, Mlenga Fube, and, Mr. Munia Zulu, who's the raising Member of Parliament, appearing before, the courts, and also being issued with bench warrants. So what has happened in this particular case is Mr. Munia Zulu and Mr. Fube did sign as surety for Mr. Mr. Zulu, who's currently on the run and is being wanted. So the way it is, if you sign, bail as a surety for someone, when that person is on the run, police will be on your neck. They'll be there looking for you because you signed for this person and you have to be answerable. So Lumezi Member of Parliament, Munia Zulu, has been arrested for contempt of court. Mr. Zulu's arrest by Immigration Office is in relation to a bench warrant that was issued against him by the Lusaka Magistrate Sylvia Munyenya, following his failure to appear before her and facilitate the appearance of former presidential political advisor Kaiser Zulu. Mr. Zulu is one of the sureties for the former political advisor to former President Edgar Lungu, whose whereabouts remain unknown. This is in relation to a case in which Mr. Kaiser Zulu is charged with failure to surrender a diplomatic passport and failing to appear before an immigration officer upon entry in the country. This is just a word of advice. If you are thinking of being a surety to someone, think forth. Are they your relative? If they run away today, how will it affect them? Because some friendships, there are people who don't care. I'm not saying Mr. Kaiser Zulu doesn't care, but the fact is, if he doesn't show up, and you know that if I don't show up before the courts, my surety will be the one who will be arrested, and you decide not to show up, it means you don't care. You don't care whether you're arrested or not. I don't know you, we just met in the line of duty, I have no relation with you. So if you go to jail for the case that I committed, I don't care, it's up to you. I think this is what Mr. Zulu here is trying to do. Mr. Kaiser Zulu, we've got two Zulus, we've got Munia Zulu and Kaiser Zulu. So I'm talking about Mr. Kaiser Zulu. This is what he's doing to his colleague, Mr. Munia Zulu, coming from the same clan, the same tradition, and you do this to your friends. So when they issued a bench warrant, Mr. Fulwe did comply and has been going to court. But Mr. Munia Zulu has decided, to abscond court, despite being issued with a bench warrant, despite being caught to say, bring your surety here. He's not been appearing before the court. And the court said, I think enough is enough. When you're called upon, be sure that you come. If you don't come, we will enforce the law. So they had enforced the law on him. He's been arrested and he will be in detention until the 18th of July when his matter will come up before the courts. Quite a sad incident this June. And I imagine being in cells, sleeping on that floor. You stop enjoying your nice, comfortable chair home to, being in cells over a crime you did not commit or over something you did not do, but just because you were a surety to someone. Quite sad there. Mr. Kaiser Zulu, if you are listening, Mr. Munia Zulu is a family man. He's got family to look after. He also has, people who rely and count on him. And now he is held up in cell because of the crime that you committed. Ubuntu entails that we also consider other people. Before I say too much, then let's zoom into that story that made headline in our news yesterday.
Munia Zulu, the Lumezi area member of parliament, knew he had got into trouble after former presidential political advisor Kaiser Zulu, the man he stood surety for, jumped bail. But the lawmaker must have ruled out going into detention as a possible consequence for his inability to fulfill his pledge to always produce Mr. Kaiser Zulu in his alleged criminal trial. His self-assurance that he was going to fulfill his pledge seemed to have been cut short. The lawmaker, against his expectation, was unlucky when fate led him into the arms of immigration officers Thursday morning. The lawmaker, who is currently detained at Ridgeway Police Post, has been arrested by immigration officers who were acting upon a bench warrant that was issued against him by Lusaka Principal Resident Magistrate Sylvia Munyenya. In the previous court session, Magistrate Munyenya was forced to issue a bench warrant against Mr. Kaiser Zulu, who is facing a charge of failing to surrender his diplomatic passport and appearing before a nearest immigration officer. Mr. Kaiser Zulu has absconded court session more than 4 times. He was found with a case to answer in his case and he is expected to open his defense. The bench warrant was also extended to his surety, Mr. Munia Zulu, who not only failed to facilitate the appearance of the man he signed bail for, but also failed to make his own appearance and explain to the court. The lawmaker has been arrested for contempt of court. Patriotic Front officials rushed at Ridgeway Police Post to offer solidarity to their incarcerated colleague.
Aware that the court issued a bench warrant against him when Comrade Kaiser Zulu failed to appear before court. So he was picked up this morning and is detained at Richmond. Well, these are procedural matters, and I may not have much to say, other than to wish him well and hope that the court can be lenient on him and allow him to have time to look for the suspect and present him for court.
Expressing their thoughts, PF officials interviewed had this to say.
But suddenly there's a demand that members of parliament must be the one to come and sign, and your letters must be written by the clerk, including where you stay, address, all unwarranted. But at the end of the day, what is critical and crucial is that members of parliament are in the top 156 of this country. By virtue of that, we are given diplomatic status. There must be some respect accorded to members of parliament. They are not ordinary thugs or thieves who are doing, pickpocketing, to be abducted in the middle of nowhere to say, no, we picked him up from this place and now he's being arrested at the police station. No, let's try to keep some civility and be formal about these things.
The bench warrant is returnable on the 18th of July 2023. This means that the lawmaker is forced to spend a week in custody. By broadcast time, Mr. Kaiser Zulu remains at large. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
That is quite sad there, Mr. Monier Zulu, who's a member of parliament, paying it for the crime that was committed by his colleague, Mr. Kaiser Zulu. This is not something, to even want to wish on your enemy. So I don't know why Mr. Zulu is doing this to Mr. Monier Zulu. The only thing that Lumezi Member of Parliament did is be a friend to Mr. Kaiser Zulu, where your friend is arrested and you say, I think let me sign for your bail so that you can go and see your family. And this is now a man who doesn't care whether you are in custody or not, or you see your family or not. That's why they say choose your friends wisely. I'm not saying he's a bad friend, don't misquote me, but I'm just saying, this gives us a leeway to choose who you associate with or who your friends are. That's why they say choose your friend wisely. When you are in trouble, will your friends stand for you and say, I will be with you throughout this? Or when you get in trouble, it's the opposite. When your friend is in trouble, you're ever there for them. But it's when it's your turn, they disappear. They don't even care for the offense they committed, whether you're arrested or not. They are nowhere to be seen. I just hope in the next appearance, Mr. Kaiser Zulu can show up and just say, I've not been feeling well, I've been down, I've been sick, so I went to the village to seek traditional medicine, now I'm back, and I can face trial for this particular case, which I am being accused of. So, that was one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. We wish Mr. Monier Zulu's family or the comfort there is. This is not an easy thing. Mr. Monier will be appearing before court next on 18th of July 2023, meaning he will be in custody between now and 28th July. If you calculate, that's about a week and some days he will be behind bars for the offense he did not commit. He also has his own issues in court. Remember, he is appearing before court on the cases of defamation for the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stobeko Msokotwane, and Technology Minister Felix Mtati. So he also has his own bone to chew, but he's also now chewing another person's bone. So we just wish Mr. Zulu's family good luck in this time. It's not easy for the family, to have your husband in custody over an offense he did not commit. Quite sad there, but my only advice is choose your friends wisely. Chachacha Party President Eric Chanda has alleged that the United Party for National Development UPND administration has no clear policy direction in the mining sector, hence the increase in illegal mining activities in the country. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Chanda has alleged that Luapula Province Minister Derek Chilundika, the former now Luapula Province Minister Derek Chilundika, has only been used as a face saver. He says failure to manage the mining sector is a catastrophe which will ruin the country. That was yesterday where the Cha-Cha-Cha party president was speaking. In case you're wondering what happened to Mr. Derek Chilundika, Mr. Derek Chilundika, pardon me, was stripped of his position as Wapula Province Minister after he was named as part of those who were illegally mining sojilite. But sojilite yavuta. Remember, sojilite earlier this year did lead to the demotion of 4 district commissioners in Wapula Province. It's like the entire province, all the DCs were demoted, police officers were arrested, and other people were put behind bars for being responsible for mining sojilite. Just last week, 3 more people were arrested in connection with the mining of sojilite. This week, the Wapula Province Minister has been demoted and arrested for illegally mining sojilite. Sojilite. In studio today, we will be joined by our guests, and we'll be discussing, among other things, sojilite mining and lithium mining in Zambia. You too can be part of the conversation by calling the numbers that are on the screen when we get to discuss, and let's hear your voice. Part of the questions we are asking is, why have we seen an increase in illegal mining activities in the country, among them the mining of sojilite? Remember, government did ban any mining activities as they are formulating policies behind closed doors. I don't know how long this will take. Do you think this also is contributing to people illegally mining? Because when you discover minerals like that, you don't remain quiet for quite some time. Remember, we also have gold in almost all the parts of the country that has continued to be illegally mined, and government, sorry to say this, yes, under the watch of government, these illegal mining activities has been taking place. What are we doing wrong as a country? And what do we need to do to ensure that we benefit from these minerals? So apart from sojilite, we are also discussing lithium. Some few months ago, I don't know if I can say years ago, government did ban the exportation of lithium. So what has been the way forward since government imposed that ban? We've heard nothing. So among the things we will be discussing is that, but before I say much, let's get to hear what Cha-Cha-Cha party leader Eric Chanda said with regards to sojilite and other stakeholders who commented on this particular issue.
Sojilite, a paper-like mineral, has become popular in Zambia after causing the firing of some top government officials who have been implicated in illegally mining of the mineral in Luapula Province of Zambia. Cha-Cha-Cha leader Eric Chanda, however, says he is disappointed at government's failure to come up with proper policy guidelines to guide the mining of sojilite and other minerals that have continued to be mined illegally in most parts of the country.
Derek Chilundika, the former provincial minister for Wapula Province, has only been used as a face saver by this government, because there are a lot of issues that are going on as regards the mining sector. And the major culprit is the government itself. The head of this government, President Hakainde Hichilema, and his mines minister.
The party leader has since challenged government to quickly come up with policies that will bring sanity in the mining sector.
2 years of governance, no policy. They gave us a policy under CDF. They were quick. And in education, they were quick. What about mining? If we were Cha-Cha-Cha, we are saying this UPND government has no policy direction as regards the mining sector. And failure to manage the mining sector is failure to manage this country, because mining is the soul. It is the bloodstream of the economy of this republic. That is where we get money from. What are you waiting for in order to give licenses? Because these people doing the mines, that means they are our investors.
On the other hand, Eugene Kabilika has commended government for not being selective in applying the law on those being involved in illegal mining activities.
This is sad, because people who work in government are supposed to be the first one to respect the law so that they follow the law and teach others to do the same. But there are other precious minerals that are available, and people are busy mining, either in the name of mining copper, in the name of mining coal, but at the same time they are taking out diamonds, they are taking up gold, and that mineral is not accounted for. It is high time the government puts in place a policy that makes sure that the government benefits from these precious minerals.
And Advocates for National Development and Democracy Executive Director Samuel Banda has commended President Hichilema for dismissing former Luapula Province Minister Derrick Chilundika for alleged engagement in illegal mining and says the natural resources must be used to improve the country's economy.
Fully support the stance taken by the head of state, and it must be commended by every well-meaning citizen of Zambia. We believe that our natural resources must be used to improve our economy and benefit the majority citizens of Zambia, and not just the few individuals.
Despite Zambia having been blessed with minerals and water bodies, the country remains one of the poorest in the world, and one wonders why Zambia has been failing to realize the much-needed revenue from its minerals. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it, Mr. Eric Chanda, Cha-Cha-Cha party leader, challenging government there to say 2 years down the line since you have been in office, we've not seen policies guiding particular mining, the mining of particular metals in the country. If you do follow what happens in the mining sector, I think in the gemstone industry and in the copper industry, we do have policies that guide the mining of this. Though gemstone, we know that it is mined, it is also being mined illegally in the country, in some parts of the country. But when it comes to copper, there are some strict measures that have been put there. But the question that we should be asking ourselves is, for years we've mined copper and its benefits have not really been felt in the country. Is it not high time we looked to other metals? Remember, most of the copper mines are not actually being owned by Zambians because they were bought off by the private sector way back. And what has been happening is, if they mine those minerals, they send them where they go and sell. That money they make, they send it in banks in their country, and then those small peanuts they send to Zambia to pay workers and pay taxes and stuff like that. Well, that huge chunk of money usually is taken in their country, which has been resulting in Zambia not having, for example, issues of, we don't have enough forex. Why shouldn't we be having enough forex when we've got all these mining sectors in these mining companies in the country? So now we have discovered we have sugilite. Luapula province will go sitting on sugilite, one of those expensive metals in the country. And after that issue came to light, government had to ban the mining of sugilite. But despite putting a ban there, people are still illegally mining sugilite. And the question we should be asking ourselves is, why has this continued being the case? It is unfortunate that despite all these efforts that have been put in place, we still have seen people doing some illegal mining activities. Just to add to that, to make the salt waste, we've seen copper, we even have lithium. Do you know that we were exporting lithium to other parts of the country, but government put a ban to the export of lithium? But after imposing that ban, till now, we are actually seeing nothing happen in that sector. You're wondering, what is lithium used for? What is uranium used for? Do you have uranium in Zambia? Yes, we do have uranium in Zambia. We will be talking slightly to that with our guest, but we will also be discussing lithium mining in Zambia, where we are. Then we will slightly touch on the aspect of sugilite, the one that has been making a lot of noise in the country. Why aren't we realizing enough revenue from these minerals? Remember also, in these mining companies where they mine copper, it's not only copper that is there. There is nowhere you go in a mine where you find copper is just seated alone at copper. There's nothing like that. Where there is copper, there are other minerals. Do we account for them as a country? How much revenue do we copper? Where copper is being mined, we have other metals such as the same lithium we're talking about, uranium. We've got precious minerals being mined there. But why is it that most of the time these companies will only declare what they make from copper? Because you will actually discover that through these other minerals, sometimes they even make quite good substantial amount of money compared to copper. But everyone has just been talking about copper, copper this, copper that. And even us Zambians, we don't get to question these mining companies to say, where are you mining apart from copper? What other metals are there? How much are you selling them? How much revenue are you bringing in as a result of copper? Because there's nowhere you go where you find there's only copper without other minerals. So that we will be discussing also on the program as we allow our guests who are just a little bit stuck in traffic to come on set and we begin to discuss. So right about now, let's take a short break. And of course, we will be back to allow our guests to settle in.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In Forgotten Stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel. Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
We are glad that you could stay tuned to Camnet TV as we allowed our guests to settle so that we dig directly into the conversation. This morning, we are discussing the status of lithium and sugilite mining in Zambia, and partly we will tackle just a little bit about uranium if time does allow. So in studio, I am joined by the Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia President, Pastor Paul Mwansa Kabuswe. Sir, good morning.
Good morning. Of course, you have mixed the minister. Joseph Mwansa Kabuswe.
Oh, Mr. Joseph Mwansa Kabuswe. Hey, pardon me. I don't know. Maybe when we hear the name, mining, It just directly clicks to Mr. Paul Kabuswe. Yeah. But of course, we are joined by Mr. Joseph Mwansa Kabuswe, who is, of course, the president for the Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia. Pastor, I am excited that you joined us on the program this morning to specifically talk about, lithium and, of course, sojilite, which is now become a scandalous mineral in the country. And, every time when I'm sitting at home, I just say, but sojilite. We've seen other minerals being discovered in the country, such as gold. We know we have uranium that was discovered. We have lithium, but we've never had any top official being fired because of these particular minerals. But now, 5 district commissioners in Luapula were fired with regards to sojilite. We've seen now even the provincial minister being fired with regards to this particular mineral. So, I keep wondering and asking my questions, what is so special about this? But before we get to talk about that, just tell us about the institution, the Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia. What is it about, and what do you do as an institution?
We are Federation of Small Scale Miners. We have 16 associations which are affiliated to us, and in those 16 associations there are some cooperatives which are affiliated to them. All these associations and the cooperatives, they are affiliated to us. We are the mother body, and we look into the affairs of miners and to speak on their behalf. That's who we are.
Interesting, Pastor, there. Just, you've talked about how many members you have. What kind of mining activities are they engaging themselves in? What do they mine? Are they just doing, mining? I know when we talked to the small scale miners, the women in mining, they talk about a lot of aspects that involve what they call mining, including, stone crushing, sand, and stuff like that. It's equally categorically put in the aspect of mining. But for the Small Scale Miners Association, what minerals or what kind of mining do people participate in, those who are part of your membership?
Yeah, there are different kind of minerals which they do mine. If I was to mention each, I think I would spend some time. So some they are in artisanal, and some they are doing small scale mining, and these two licenses are different. Of course, even those who are doing crushing, who are doing these ordinary stones for building, they are also called it's part of us, and they are doing mining as well. So we have different categories: those who are in gold, those who are in sojilite, which you have just mentioned, and the lithium, which is a byproduct of amethyst and some other materials. So we have too many different miners who are involved in mining, who are mining different minerals in our nation.
Okay. Interesting there. You talked on the aspect of lithium. Let's just go a little bit in the background on this particular metal. Where are we at as a country in terms of mining of lithium?
At the moment, the government have stopped the export of mining, or the export of lithium, because I think they would like to know the actual value. That's the reason why they have come up with that decision. At the same time, they would like to know exactly how they can deal with this commodity or minerals, because lithium, it's a byproduct of amethyst, tourmaline, and the aquamarine, which comes together. When you are digging, you can find the lithiums in Vespa, and actually tourmaline, it's lithium itself. It's part of lithium is part of the tourmaline. So I think they are trying to come up with the mechanism which they can use in order to separate the lithium from other minerals, and lithium which has its own value. That's the reason why maybe they came up with that decision to...
When was the ban? When was the ban imposed on lithium?
It should be maybe 1 or 2 months ago.
So during that particular time, we did have some small-scale miners who were mining lithium?
They are. Some of them they have in their yard. They can't export because the government have banned. It has 2 phases. In other hand, the miners, they feel this is unfair treatment from the government because they need to export, they need to sell. And if they can't sell, where do they get the money? So it's part of the production that do come out from the ground, and for them, they feel it's a privilege to have lithium because it has high value. It would have been better for them to sell. At the same time, the government, they would not just allow the stones to be smuggled or to be exported without knowing exactly the actual price. So that's the reason why maybe they came up with that decision. And they are using some experts from the Ministry of Mines and some other advisors, maybe who are advising them how they can go about it. Then very soon we'll see them lifting up the ban.
This lithium, in what part of the country do we see it being found?
It is in Ethiopia. It is almost everywhere because it's a byproduct
of most of the minerals. Okay, what is lithium really used for? Maybe people might be wondering when we talk about lithium, it is a byproduct of turmeric, China. I'm not a miner myself and stuff like that. But this particular metal, lithium, what is it used for?
One of the things that they'll be using, I'm told it's battery because of this new discovering of electrical vehicles which has come in. But there are many things that they use, especially Chinese. They are so advanced. They use lithium in different way. And that's why it is so expensive. It's not that it's a new product. It's a product which has been there for a long time. Just that we didn't know. We have just discovered now. Just like Sweet Light, it was been there, as much as in 1948 or 44, sorry. It has been there, but we discovered just now. So these are products which were there before, but the discovery has just happened.
A quite interesting explanation there. This morning, of course, we are discussing the status of lithium and sugilite in Zambia, and I am joined by Pastor Joseph Mwansa, who is the president for the Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia. We have seen the aspect of sugilite making noise for a couple of months. Some people are behind bars and others have been stripped of their position with regards to that particular one. Then also we know lithium is one of those expensive metals on the market, and just about a month ago, government did impose a ban on the export of lithium. How many of you there watching us in the comfort of your home actually knew that lithium is being mined in Zambia? We are equally just getting to learn that from Pastor Joseph Kabuswe. And just to continue with our conversation this morning, Pastor, let's talk a little bit about the noisy sugilite. It's making noise for quite some time now on social media and everywhere where this particular metal is happening. The continuous illegal mining of sugilite. What do you think is leading to this?
Just to give you a little bit of background of Sweet Light. Sweet Light, it was discovered in 1944 by one Japanese man. These are the people who started the rocks in 1944. His name is Ken Mitch, something like that, Swiji. Actually, it's Swiji. That's where the name came from, Sugilite. The one that discovered the Sugilite and also described Sugilite is a Japanese man. And these stones, they have different way of using it. Some they use it for eating. They believe that if you are emotionally attacked, you can use Sugilite and you become better. Wow. And if you have the spirit of unforgiveness, you can use Sugilite and it will help you to love and to forgive. So the Japanese people, they have been using this for a long time.
Quite interesting to learn about that.
Yeah, and later when it was discovered in South Africa, another name of Sugilite is Westlight, and it was discovered in Weso, in SA. They are also mining Sugilite. But the one that was discovered in Zambia, it's of high value. It has different categories. And that's the reason why you hear a lot of noises. Some they use it for healing, some they use it for, jewelries. And one of the lady that used it, Naomi, she won a prize in 2013 because of the quality and its uniqueness. She happened to win a prize. So sweet light, it's one of the most expensive mineral, which is a byproduct of manganese, and most of the people, they were mining manganese without knowing that there was also sweet light.
So they were not accounting for the sugilite. You are mining manganese and you have this more expensive metal on your mine. You don't even mention it to say, "Apapa to sugilite up."
In fact, most of the people have taken sweet light and export in the name of manganese. They are foreign investors because they had an idea that there is sweet light here. It's a byproduct. Most of Zambians didn't know. They only came to discover, I think it should be maybe 1 or 2 years. That's when the cadres now went forth to start mining using their own power without a license, doing mining activity as illegals. And it's from there that people, they begin now to understand and to know the value. Otherwise,
so this illegal mining of sugilite has not started now that we are hearing about it. It started some way
it's
back.
not in the UPND government. It started in PF government. And the people who brought it out is the cadres, because the owner of the exploration license was doing actual mining without the government knowing, in the name of exploration, and it took a lot of sweet light. And it's from there that the locals, they discovered that what was going on. As you know, where there's money, people, they'll know exactly that these stones has value. It's from that point that people, they started mining without license, and then eventually we see some scandals.
This brings me to this question. I remember the last briefing we held with the Mines Minister, Paul Kabuswe. I did raise concerns to say, we have heard that the person who was given an exploration license there is actually doing the actual mining. That's how community members came to know about it. And the response that I was given is, everyone who does exploration work, sometimes they mine. For you to know that there is this metal, you have to mine. So exploration requires digging. So just because you see someone digging does not necessitate that they're engaged in illegal mining. But we've seen some local people have been arrested even in connection with this. But an investor who came to do exploration has been mining, and they are walking free on this particular issue. When it comes to the application of the law, this is not the only incidence. I think even in Kabwe, you remember where there was that man who was shot by a Chinese national. Actually, that Chinese national was given a license to explore that area, but it's been mining. And when community members saw that, they all went and rushed there to try to pick some of those metals, and in the process, he shot one of them, and the person died there. As we speak, this particular person, I don't even think he's in custody, is continuing with his illegal mining. So we have cases in the country where we've seen those, our colleagues who come to invest, break the law, and they walk scot-free, but our own people here, when you do something, the law is on your neck. Do you think there is fair application of the law from those of our colleagues who come with investment initiatives, and from our own people who want to, find it easy to get from what is being offered?
Actually, it happened also in Undazi. One was shot because this Chinese person was digging, was doing it is illegal to do the actual mining when you are supposed to explore. According to the law, you are not supposed to do the actual mining. Exploration is like scratching just to find the samples. When you find the samples, then you apply for mining license. Now, if you are doing actual mining, you are even producing and exporting, that is against the law. And that's what some of these exploration license owner or holders, they have been doing. And Zambians have just been used like mob, where someone come and get exploration license, go back to his country, leave the license, leave the place open. Then these Zambians go, as they are moving from one place to another, they find some minerals. And at the end, they begin to dig without license. Then the owner would come back and chase them because they are like mob who can just be used. Otherwise, the law is sometimes is not balancing, but I believe that the PS who have come in and the minister himself, they are doing something to strengthen the law and to work together with the organization so that we can start balancing almost everything that have gone wrong. Yeah.
The continuous illegality in mining, not just sugilite, not just maybe lithium, not just gold. We've got other minerals where we've seen issues of illegal mining continue to happen. What might be contributing to this? Is it that maybe we have weak enforcement of the law, or is it that we take too long to come up with legislative that guide the mining of certain metals? I ask this because yesterday we did have an interview with the Chachacha party president, that is Mr. Eric Chanda, and his concern was that, under this government, we don't have, policy direction when it comes to mining of other minerals. For copper, yes, and for the scandals on the copper belt, we understand. But what of these minerals? We discovered gold way back, and today we still have illegal gold activities happening in the country. So what might be contributing to this, increase in illegal mining in Zambia?
I think for me, I would like to say it's the policy. I've been in this business for 39 years now, and we have seen it from the time of Kenneth Kaunda up to now. It's a policy that should be changed to begin to accommodate the Zambians instead of doing the illegal minings or involve themselves into illegal activities. They should keep them at least. They should come up with an easy way of one to get the license, which is not there, because for just one to get a license, especially a common person, is quite difficult. The amount that is being involved is too high. Until they simplify almost everything, the policy should be simplified. They must come up with a policy that will accommodate Zambians to get the license without difficulties. And if we can go in that way, I think everything will change. And we have seen that the president has been talking about telling Zambians to form cooperatives, which they have started. I think if we go in that way again, it will help a lot to reduce illegal mining.
Quite interesting discussion there. You two can be part of this conversation. But before we even talk about other aspects, we are going to go on a short break, and we hope you can continue joining us on the program as we discuss.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In Forgotten Stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel. Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those that have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kids show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamagazagia, to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to Camnet TV. Even as we continue with our discussion this morning, we are diving into the conversation around lithium and sugilite. And in studio, I am joined by the Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia President, Pastor Joseph Kabuswe Mwanza. Usually we do refer to him, but I was asking him the last time, are you related to the mines minister? Why do you have the Kabuswe's in both your names? But of course, he has been in the industry for 38 years, you said, Pastor?
39 years.
For 39 years, he has been in this industry quite some time there, and a bit of understanding, or a lot of understanding about the sector. We did speak to the aspect of lithium, and we also, before going on the break, did speak a little bit about sugilite and why this particular metal is now, you know, making headlines in the news. And one of the things that we've learned is that this particular metal is actually expensive on the market. That's why there is a scramble for sugilite. So we are going to continue with our conversation, and we were looking at the aspect, Pastor, of policy in the country. Sometimes, can you say we take long as a country to come up with policy frameworks when it comes to mining? I speak to this because yesterday also when we did speak to Mr. Chanda, the Chachacha president, he gave an example to say, did you see how quick government came up with a policy to do with CDF? Within a particular year, they were able to come up with a policy, make amends this year, this is second year, and this policy is running. He gave an example of the policy when it comes to education, to say, you know, policies sometimes that also deal with education, they come fast. So sometimes when government wants to make policy, they are quick. But when it comes to the mining sector, where do you think these issues are? Why do we lag sometimes when it comes to formulating policies, especially in the mining sector, or when there is a discovery of new metals?
When you discover new metals like lithiums and sugilite, I think you don't just act fast. You may make a mistake. You have to understand, you have to start this mineral and the prices and how you can deal with it. I think that's where maybe sometimes they take long, but I believe that they are doing something that will help. And again, in the past we were not being engaged as much as this government is engaging us, because when you are coming up with the policy, you have to engage the people who are on the ground, who understand things on the ground. But in the past, what we used to see is that people, they would just go into internet, look at the policy of Ghana, maybe Chile, Colombia, then they get some, just some points and come up with the policy, which sometimes doesn't even work in our country. Looking at our scenario, it's different from these countries. We are different from almost everyone, although we are doing almost the same thing. So when it comes to a policy, you should look at the kind of the people that you have, what is happening on the ground, what can work efficiently and effective. Then from there, you engage the people who are on the ground, together with the Ministry of Mines, the ZRI, then you come up with a policy which can work for the advantage of the people of Zambia. In the past, it was not like that. They were just coming up with the policy. Then before we could realize, we see something has come up. without even a proper understanding, and that's why they have been making a lot of mistakes when it comes to policy making. They have been making the policy that doesn't even work, and that's why we've continued to see illegal mining. But we thank God for the government. They are engaging us, even though sometimes they send the papers late and they give us a little bit time to go through and to understand exactly what should be fusing. But better than nothing, they have started doing what they are supposed to do.
Don't you think, again, the lengthy period that it takes sometimes has a negative impact on these minerals? I speak to this, for example, the sugilite issue. We've spoken about 2 years down the line. We knew there was sugilite. And up to now, that's when now we are hearing government saying, okay, let's move in and do this. And it's not that government will move in now. For them to come up with these policies, it might even take some months or even up to next year. But also we understand that there is mining activity happening right now, because even if government says stop mining, people are still going there to mine illegally. And by the time maybe we'll be moving in, you might discover that half of the sugilite might have already gone, and we are only remaining with half. And the revenue that would have even raised from this half would even be unaccounted for. So don't you think this lengthy period somehow should be shortened?
It's not just the mining department and the government. It's a nature of Zambia in which we have to change. If you go to Ministry of Lands, how long does it take for one to get just a title deed? It's something that we have allowed, something that can be done in 1 month. It goes up to 6 months, 1 year, because we do not understand that the more we delay, we are losing income, and we are allowing illegal miners to start, smuggling the stones, smuggling the commodities, the minerals. The faster we go, the better for the country. So we have to move fast. Instead of losing out, we can gain more if we become action-oriented. People can solve certain issues within a short period of time. That's how Chinese, they have developed, because something that can be solved 10 months in Zambia, in China is 2 weeks. They don't waste much time, as we are used to solve things slowly. Not only in Ministry of Mines or these departments which concern the minerals. It's the whole country. We are slow the way we do things.
Which we need improvement on.
Yes.
Quite an interesting aspect there. Yesterday, I was doing a little bit background about uranium mining in Zambia. And I came to discover, to say, as way back as 2008, 2010, the then mines minister was talking about, policies in the area of uranium. Let's move to this particular metal. What's the status of uranium in Zambia currently?
As you have said, it was discovered in 2008 and formalized. Then one of the company which begin to mine the same minerals is Lumwana in northwestern province. They are mining, and from that I think we saw the government of the past government engage themselves with the Russian government in collaboration. They agreed that they should come up with the plant which was supposed to be in Ichongwe. That's where they were going to be, I think, taking the same minerals. Then from there maybe they would take to intended place. There were those discussions which the former government left. I don't know if that has continued. Otherwise there was some discussion which it was going on, because uranium is different from these other commodities. They use mostly in these atomic bombs and nuclear thing, and it's not like swedelite and these other minerals. It's a mineral that is very sensitive, and I'd like to believe that the new government, they find all the correspondence which from there they will take on and begin to move forward.
Do you have some small-scale miners engaging in the mining of uranium?
At the moment, I would say no. Because uranium, again, it's a part of byproduct of manganese. So I don't know exactly how they are separating it.
I was reading an article in Is it Serenge where they actually found some uranium component in a liver stream which has been polluted by uranium? And I'm kind of wondering to say, but Serenge, but we've not heard of a mine that is dealing in uranium. But of course, you've said it is a byproduct. And when I was reading this article, I was asking myself, but why? Why is it that, sometimes we have this mining of copper taking place, people are mining uranium, there's pollution in water, and communities sometimes are not even compensated in a case where, they consume substance that contain uranium, and we know its effect on human lives.
I think most of the discovery, it's very new to each one of us. From beginning, imagine we didn't know that swedelite is part of manganese. Lithium, it's part of tourmaline, amethyst, and also Vespa. We are discovering now. So when you talk about this other mineral which you have just mentioned, this metal, uranium, yeah. It is the byproduct of copper. And from beginning, we didn't have the right machines to separate all these minerals to know the content. So we are just selling everything together.
Wow. And it was being separated where the minerals were going. This brings me to this aspect. I know you've talked about we didn't have the right equipment. Let's talk about technology in the mining sector, where we are coming from and where we are. They say for you to know the future, you have to look at the background. You have to look where you're coming from. From where we are coming from, we've known that the issue of us depicting to say, okay, let's send aquamarine or lithium, or where we are doing manganese, there is sugilite, and there is this. It was not known then. And I think one of the reasons is because we didn't have the right technologies to depict that. Where we are now as a country, would you say we started having good technology in the mining sector that will help us going forward? Or maybe we need to do a little more investment in technology when it comes to the mining sector?
I would say that we need to invest in technology, especially in small-scale miners, and we don't have that. ZRI today, they have that. They have the equipment which they can differentiate the names of the stones, and they have started using that. I believe in future they will be using that so that they should be charging according to the commodities of minerals, which will help the country to get the actual value from the minerals. Before it was not there because our technology was so low. But today I think we have improved a lot. It takes seriousness of the government to invest in that, and they are in the right way. At least they have done something. That's why you can see even now they have wake up, they are now trying to find out or to come up with something that can work for our nation, not just for small-scale miners. Also, because if the small-scale miners prosper and the government prosper, it means almost everyone will prosper. And the government, I think, is working on that. But I don't know how long it will take for small-scale miners to come up with that, to reach that level. When you look at Mupan, large-scale miners, those people, they have those machines, even though sometimes they don't even use them because they don't want to let the government discover some of the minerals which are there. And we would like the ZRI to be visiting this big mine so that they see exactly what they are melting and how they are separating all the minerals that are being discovered.
Interesting there. Earlier, before we went for that short break, you did speak on the aspect of, government has come up with this initiative of cooperatives. In the mining sector, do you think cooperatives really work? I know I speak to this because sometimes cooperative, it is a group of people who come together to put up resources. And in Zambia, most of the time, you find that these resources are limited. If anything, most of the cooperatives have now been formed with a perspective of getting money from government and starting a business. So this initiative of cooperatives in the mining sector, does it work? If it does, how does it work to ensure that there is benefit from the mines that these cooperatives are doing?
I think in mining sector is something that is very new, and there is a saying which always say it's better you try than you do nothing, and the government, they have come up with that, that policy or an encouragement. They're encouraging the miners to form cooperatives. We haven't yet tried to see how it works, but we will learn as we go on. But what we have seen that it works is artisanal miner. They have been trying to do well, and if we encourage cooperatives and artisanal miners and small-scale miners as well, especially if there can be some fund somewhere where they can get and use it to invest in their mines, we'll see many Zambians changing and also contributing to the treasure of our nation. But as of now, we don't know how it will work. We just believe that somehow or somewhere it will work. Of course, there are some people think, let's form the cooperative, because they are thinking of just to get the money, eat and forget. And there are those who are serious, who would like to work and benefit from the minerals that they are producing. So we have mixed green. We haven't seen how it will work, but it's good that we have begun to try and see how it works. And we thank God for the president who's supporting that.
Through cooperatives, I know the figures that have been given to each cooperative in CDF, and when we look at mining activities, sometimes you would really say that money, for example, 50,000, 25,000, most of the cooperatives get about 25,000. If you take that to maybe investing in a mine, might not be enough. Do you think maybe we need to come up with a fund, a sinking fund? It can be a sinking fund or something which cooperatives that wish to do mining can dive in and get resources from. I know mining requires quite a good substantial amount of resource. So do you think maybe there's need to come up with a fund that will support those who specifically want to engage in mining activities?
Yeah, it would be a very great idea to come up with the funds that can be specifically for funding the mines, especially cooperatives, and small-scale miners as well as artisanal. If we can do that, I think it will help a lot. It's good to try, because we cannot just be, being assuming that it will not work. We have never tried. Some other countries, they have tried. So it's better to try. It's through trying, then we'll see how it works. In Africa, we don't want to try, and that's why we are always behind. But I believe that if we can come up with the funds, specific funds which can be working, it will help. The money that they are giving is not enough. 25,000 in mining, it's like a single drop in the ocean which cannot be traced. Yeah.
Quite interesting there. As we maybe come to the dying end of this particular interview, let's talk about investors. I know most of the time when we discover new minerals, as it is even now in Sujilite, if you ask a little bit, there is an aspect of coming up with the right investor to invest in that particular sector, and of course they have to work with the local people. But when I look at this, Pastor Kabuswe, we do see sometimes, like Sujilite, the way it's being mined right now, people are just using the shovels and the pickies to mine that. But government will come up and say, okay, let's come up with this right policy, which is right for the country, but let's look for an investor. Do you think in the mining of some of these other metals that we are discovering now, that they are in plenty in the country, should we be looking at investors from outside? Or I think it's time we started looking to the inside. I speak this to the fact that, copper mining, the mines we have for copper are actually foreign dominated. And if you look at the percentage that government owns in this mining sector, others are too little. We have government owning 25%, 18% in some mines. If maybe they own 40%, which they own too much, most of the time it's just 20. Do you think maybe going forward, this is the time now we have to start looking from within? I know the people who come from outside come with, technology. They come with good technology that we don't have, and we can't dispute that fact. But if people can mine with the shovel and the pickies the way it's happening with Sujilite, do you think maybe going forward we now need to start looking to the inside more than we can look to the outside? Or should we continue to partner with our colleagues from outside?
That's a great question, Prudence. It's a mindset of Africans who they believe they can't manage. They believe in foreign investors, and that's where we're having a problem. It's not only in Zambia, it's an African problem. You go to China, about 99% of mining companies belongs to China, Chinese government. or Chinese companies. You will not see an African company investing in that country. You go to India, it's the same. Of course, we'll see some other investors from US investing in China, especially in clothes, but not in mining. We have the minerals here. Why can't we begin to think that we should begin to empower our people, teach them how to mine, so that 100% of wealth should remain in Zambia? If I export, let's say, $2 million, 99.5% the money will come back to Zambia, and it will be working differently. If I buy fuel, it means I've paid tax. If I buy bread, I've paid, so I'll be paying tax in different categories, and that money will work in different categories. That's how you develop your economy. But as of now, foreign investors, they have almost 90%. They are the ones who are controlling our economy. We don't control our economy, they control, because they are the ones who have invested in our country. And almost 70% they take back to their country. They leave 30% just to use for maintenance and other things, paying the workers and maintaining their machines. What about the capital? It goes back to their country. If we invest in our people, then the money will begin to remain here. And another thing that we can do, we need to change the policy. Instead of allowing a Zambian to get 25% or the government 25%, let's go back to Kaunda's way. At least we can remain with 45% to 50%. That will give us a guarantee to say, okay, now we are doing very well as a country. At least 45 to 50% should remain in our country, rather than 80%, 90%. I have seen, I witnessed one Chinese man, I can't mention the name, was being encouraged by one person from one office, which I can't mention. He was being encouraged, no, you can even give him 10%. And this Chinese wanted, he has a mine, and he has given a Zambian, the owner of the mine, 10%. And I had to confront this person. I said, why should you think like that? Should you be surely encouraging this Chinese man? I have no problem with Chinese, but the attitude of that individual, I said, you can't encourage someone to manipulate your fellow Zambian to get 90%, and your fellow Zambian is getting 10%. What kind of attitude is this? I confronted this person, and I had to talk to him. I said, we don't want to see such kind of behavior. We want to see loyalty, and we have to be vigilant to our people, and we have to be loyal also to our people. Whatever remains in Zambia, it may not work for me, but it will work for another person. And that's the spirit that we should try to build. We should not try to build the spirit that, allow foreign investors to get almost everything. If I was to ask him, if I was to say, maybe I would say, we are not against the investors. The investors, they are welcome, but we want quality investors, not just these investors who come to manipulate us. They are just like us. They are also middlemen where they are coming from. There are people who have got exploration license, doing nothing. They have gone back to their country, waiting for a Zambian to discover some minerals. When the Ministry of Mines, they are giving the license, it's not that some of them, they know that these people, they will be doing this kind of activities. They don't know. As the Ministry of Mines, you are supposed to give the license to anyone who call themselves investors. But I'm sure now they have started now scrutinizing these people, and it will help our government and our nation.
Interesting. I like that particular point. Pastor Mwansa was my guest this morning. We were discussing the status of lithium and sodalite in Zambia. I've actually learned that sodalite was discovered as far as 2 years ago, and from then till now we have seen a lot of illegal mining in the aspect of sodalite, and then it also might have even been earlier than this, because those who've been mining manganese, actually manganese does go hand in hand with sodalite. Sodalite is one of the most expensive metals on the market because it is used for a number of things. Among them, I've just learned from Pastor Mwansa that, when you are troubled with your spirit, sodalite will help you to, I think think I need to kasujila it but that was the conversation that we had this morning. The Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia President, Pastor Joseph Kabuswe Mwansa, was with us in studio, and that's what we could accommodate on the program. Join us for another episode in the mining sector next week. For the next 2 months, we will be having Pastor Kabuswe come back in studio, where we will be discussing, these issues to do with mining, especially for small-scale miners. We will be discussing also other methods that are being mined in the country. How can the country benefit, and how can we work with the government to make Zambian mining sector productive, fruitful, and giving the country enough revenue that we deserve. So we've run out of time. We would have loved to have Pastor Mwansa speak for some time on this particular issue, but that's what we could accommodate for today. For another interesting episode of this, join us next week where we will offload some of these issues. So from me, Prudence Chota, and my guest, Pastor Joseph Kabuswe Mwansa, and the entire Camnet TV production team, Elijah Chifita, who was my director this morning, it's bye for now, and God bless you.